What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 50. Yeah, we made it halfway to 100. I think there's some stat about like 10% of podcasts make it to 10 episodes, and then how many make it to 50? I don't know. How many make it to 100? We didn't make it there yet, so I don't really know that. Drop those stats in the comments. But I thought I was joined by the paddle inspector, but I'm actually joined by David from Tickle My Pickleball. What's going on tonight, David?
Oh, I thought you didn't see me take it off. But basically, I just showered, so I was trying to put my hair down. That's why I was wearing that hat. I'll put it on later
Oh,
probably. But
okay,
no,
okay.
it's going good. How are you?
I'm good. I had a great holiday weekend. Never long enough, but I enjoyed it. Nice and really cool. Not cool weather. I would say a little cooler than average weather, but you know what? That's fine. Perfect pickleball weather. I was out there quite a bit playing and did some other stuff as well. Went to the Renaissance Festival yesterday. I don't know if you ever
Okay.
been to one of those, David.
Yeah, I
I'm not
actually
sure if
have.
you're that
Yeah,
guy. Okay.
yeah, I have.
So that was a lot of fun. First time taking my kids to one, and they had a blast, and I had a lot of fun there. I wasn't sure if the holiday was going to be super busy. We went on Labor Day. It was it was busy, but not too busy for the first couple of hours. We went there when it opened, so had a great time there. Some great music, great mead and beer. I mean, and great food and shows and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it went well.
How
What'd
many
you do
toy
over the weekend?
swords did you have to buy your kids? Because I made my
Oh,
mom buy
I
a
bought
lot while
I
I was
bought
there.
one toy sword and one toy. Well, I don't know if we can call them toys. They're wooden sword and wooden axe. They were doing some damage with them. Told them they could only hit trees and not each other, and
Okay,
they took that and ran with it. They were smacking all the trees. So sorry to the festival if they damaged any trees.
gotcha.
What were you up to this weekend?
I was actually in New York, so mainly went there for the U.S. Open with my wife. But before I went there, I actually went to a Lifetime because I hit up Wes from Mark Pickleball, the owner,
Okay.
and he invited me out to a Lifetime. They're having this event. I don't know if some of you guys have seen this post from Speak Pickleball about the guy. I think he's like played pickleball and lost like I think it was 85 pounds,
Oh,
um,
nice.
just doing that. So it was like an inspiring story and. Wes didn't really tell me what the event was. He just said like, "Oh, it's this Wii Fit app." So I show up, and then I was chatting with the guy, and then he was like telling me about a story, and then he showed me the Speak Pickleball article, and I was like, "Oh wait, I have read that. That's you." And so it was really cool to see him in person, and then hear about like the app that he's building. So shout out to Wii Fit for inviting me out to that event. Basically, it's like an app right now. It's just for iOS where you kind of like gamifies fitness. So there's like goals and quests that you just have to do, and you have like a leaderboard where you're competing against your friends. So you try to like use your wearable devices to, get a certain amount of steps and just complete a quest. So pretty cool to do that. But it was fun, playing pickleball, just chilling, like not testing paddles, picking up a random Mark pickleball paddle and when played with people. And I'm at that point now where sometimes people like look at me and then give me a double take, and I hear whispers like, "Is that the guy?" And then I won't say anything because I didn't know anyone there. But then eventually they ask her like, "Oh, you're that reviewer, right?" Now, like, yeah, it's me. But
Yeah.
no, but overall fun experience.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, switching. Are you gonna start playing tennis again, or what's going on there? I mean, I didn't know we were allowed to go to tennis events.
Oh no, my wife really wanted to go. I went when I was last time I went to the US Open, it was like 15 years ago, so I was curious to go back. Yeah, we got tickets last weekend. It was kind of like a last minute thing we went. It was a lot of fun, but I think one thing that didn't really connect with me is that like people will pay like a lot of money for these tickets. And so I don't go to a lot of sporting events, but like I
Hmm.
see like people that show up and they just like have never played the sport before that they're going to watch. And I thought it was just strange to me that the people sitting next to me didn't know the rules. So, and they were like, what box are they supposed to serve into? Like, oh, who's that guy that is panning
Oh,
over? And I'm like, you guys paid $400 for these seats and you have no idea what you're watching. Like, but then I thought about it, I was like, I guess football or like some other those big sports might be the same way. Some people just go for like the vibe. So like it made sense in that way. But to me, it was still like, oh man, you just paid a lot of money to not know what's going on.
yeah. It is a common thing. Like I've been to football games, and you can tell people don't know what's going on just by the conversation. It is strange because I mean, like personally would never pay a lot to go somewhere where I don't know what's going on. But hey, if they want to be there for the vibe, it is hard to get the vibe of like a sports atmosphere. I don't know if tennis really gives that vibe, like, but if you're at a home crowd for like a football or basketball game, especially like an important one, I don't know where else you can get that vibe besides a sport a sporting arena. Now tennis
Yeah,
is.
no.
Now you tell me, did it feel like intense? Like was there one player that it seemed like a lot of people are rooting for, or does it kind of feel neutral?
So for US Open, I basically saw two matches. I saw Pegula, so that's one of the top like females, and so
Okay.
she's American, so obviously like home crowds cheering a lot for her. And then second one was Alcaraz, one of the best like men in the
Mm,
world, and so
mm-hmm.
obviously everyone was like rooting for him. But it is a different environment compared to other sports because it's more of like you're not supposed to talk in between points, and so I would get a bit frustrated when the people next to me were like talking, but then at the same
Mm-hmm.
time I was like, well, we are in the nosebleed, so they can't hear us anyways, but.
Gotcha.
Like yeah, it's a much different vibe. So it's like oh, you kind of show up, but like you don't have that energy. It's more of like it's a kind of a classier environment in a way. Like people are
Yeah.
dressed up a bit more.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my type of environment. I like it when it gets loud, but I understand. Like I grew up playing tennis and watching it, so I understand this was like, keep quiet. But I like the rowdiness that pickleball can bring. Like just let people go get
Yeah,
loud. Um, One other housekeeping. This is from 2 episodes ago. We're giving away a paddle to someone who came out with the best heckle. So 1HP322. Just email me. Got the email in the YouTube description. Email me with a screenshot of your username on YouTube. Um, this one just kind of hit home for me because it was food related, and I don't actually know exactly what he was saying, but said someone had a sign that said Dabo's mom makes dry cornbread. Uh, and this was like, a Southern football game, I think. And I just think that that's like one of the biggest insults you can have in the South, like dry corn.
yeah,
Like, and I really love cornbread, and dry cornbread is like one of the worst foods you could eat. And I think that's like one of their staple dishes. Like, if you make really bad cornbread, like it's a huge insult. So I thought that was pretty funny. So hit me up in the email, and I'll give you a selection of a couple different paddles so you choose from. And then we're also for the 50th episode. Didn't have much time to do planning. Labor Day weekend, busy weekend for us. Everyone's trying to have fun. I'm sure you were trying to have some fun too out there. But we want to give away another paddle. This time for the comments, tell us your favorite moment in the podcast history. So you can go, 49 episodes deep, or you can even include something from this 50th episode. Tell us your favorite moment, whatever moment that we just connected with the best, thought, laughed, really enjoyed that you shared with us, or whatever resonates with us. That's what we'll pick, and we'll give you a choice of a couple different paddles to choose from to give away. So anyway, moving on, because we have some stuff to talk about. We're going with a new segment. I'm going to try to start bringing some more news. Just it doesn't have to be necessarily pro news. It could be anything pickleball related, but we're going to call this segment In the News. I know. Got super creative with that one. I don't even know how I thought about it. It just really just came to me. But David, first I want to tell you something which I guess a lot of the reviewers have kind of known for a while. But
yeah.
first, James Ignatowicz has left Selkirk. He made that official, did his last podcast. I actually really enjoy James's instructional videos and his strategy thinking. I think he breaks down his instructional content and strategy very well. I kind of wish he had his own channel and did that stuff. I think he'd be really good at it if he did it, as much as say someone like the Pickleball guy or Tanner Tanasi. I think he'd be right up there with them if he did it
Like Tyson
more.
too.
Yeah, well, Tyson doesn't really do it anymore, but yeah, Tyson was doing it really well too. But yeah, I think he should start that up on his own. I think he has his own channel, but I would recommend him do that. Anyway, he's trying to break into the scene with a new paddle company. I don't think is it RPM? I don't know
Yeah,
if
it's
that name
RPM.
is going to be official. Okay. So we'll see. I'm sure he has the paddle in some hands. I know him and Chris Olsen are like best friends for pro and reviewer, so I'm sure he's sent it to him. But it's very interesting because I think it's super hard to break into the paddle space right now. And we've seen some other pros try to do it and just went nowhere. So I wonder if he has enough connections though, since he has been around a while, and he probably does have all the connections you need to, start getting it into the people's hands to talk about. Like, say he gets a review from, Chris, and it's like, oh, that's really good. Okay, that's probably enough to like launch his company, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see. Uh, you know, not the most success on the tour over the past year or so. Like I think he's had some injury issues. Like he just seems like he hasn't had the best of luck. So I don't know if he's gonna like make a full pivot, like go all in on paddle company, maybe YouTube content, and stop playing. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna stop playing, but like maybe that would be a better focus if he can go all in on that. Any thoughts on that? Or just in general?
Yeah, what's funny is like when he first started, so I think this was a few months ago, in our reviewer group chat, people were seeing like DMs from him, and then we were like, was he hacked or is this the actual James Ignatowicz account? Because it was like, hey, can we chat? And it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. But yeah, that's when we found out like, oh wait, he's making a new paddle. I think from what we understand, it's like a Gen 3. And knowing him is probably trying to be like really gritty, like up there in terms of like the spin. But I think it's funny now that I think it's like his Instagram profile picture is like basically a picture of a honeycomb polypropylene core. Like it's not longer his face, it's just a
Yeah,
core.
I thought that
But
was
I've been,
funny too.
yeah, I've been seeing like he's been making comments. I think he's like definitely, like you said, like getting really into the paddle space. So he's learned a lot about like the technology. He's been commenting a lot about like construction and how things are done. So excited to see where it goes. Hopefully we get to try it out too.
Yeah, I've seen him say that he thinks that pros don't really like foam over honeycomb just
Yeah,
because you don't get as much feedback and they can't adjust to where they're hitting it as much based on that feedback, which I thought is interesting because it is generally true. Like most of the honeycomb paddles, you do get a little bit more feedback. You can kind of feel the ball a little bit better. So, just that slight difference I can see helping when you're at the top of the game, just that little difference. Although some of the foam paddles, you can feel the ball more. So and I'm sure
yeah.
he hasn't tried as many feel the ball uh, on the paddle.
Okay, you're back
But
now. I
anyway,
think. Nope.
yep.
Okay, now the sound's back. Yep, there we go.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what goes on there. But I thought that was interesting and newsworthy. Next up, I want to talk about Jorja and Tyra beating Anna Leigh and Anna Bright. This is the first time Anna Leigh and Anna Bright have ever lost a match. I think it was like 60-0. So it's crazy. I mean, that's just insane to not lose one over that many games. And they won. First game was 5-11, then they won 11-6, 11-3. I think that if you were to go watch any match from this past weekend of the PPA Tour, I would go watch that match. And it was in the semifinals of Jorja, Tyra versus Anna Leigh and Anna Bright. I was actually watching a little bit more over the weekend than I usually do. Oh, that game is just so good. Like the first game, when usually like Anna Bright and Anna Leigh win a game, the first game, you can kind of just tell like, oh, there's no match. And even I was thinking like, there's no way they're going to come back and win this. But they actually kind of changed their strategy, started being a little bit more aggressive, which I think is like the number one thing. People are just so timid against Anna Leigh. And if you are timid and passive against Anna Leigh, you might as well just forfeit the game because she's just going to eat your lunch. Like she loves it when you're letting her be the aggressor. And they started getting more aggressive. Tyra was hitting some just really aggressive dinks and being more aggressive. And that made like Anna Leigh and Anna Bright play not pass. Like they started pulling the trigger on balls that you probably shouldn't have been speeding up. And they were Anna Bright especially was playing like what pretty far off the line a lot of the time, and that just didn't let her be aggressive, and she was making mistakes. I think that's just a master class of like if you're playing a best 2 out of 3, like take take a step back. And this is where having a coach really helps. I don't know if they had a usually Julie Johnson is coaching them, but if you have a coach or have a friend that's able to see things while you're playing, I think it helps a ton. I've had this in my own games when I've been playing tournaments. Like I've been able to implement a strategy during timeouts or between games, and you can really see a difference if you're able to just think about some things and have a couple different game plans before you go in. like the team might be better than you on paper, but if you have some strategies you can use, I think it can go a long way. Were you able to check out any of that game?
That is the one match I wanted to watch. I did see the like some points on Instagram Reels, but yeah, I think like you said, I think that that's one that I want to watch from the weekend mainly because I was watching tennis, of course. But
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
actually would say like if I thought the one that was gonna be the most biggest threat to Anna Lee and Anna Bright was going to be Catherine in Paris. That was actually the
Mm-hmm.
one I would put money on just
Okay.
because, Paris was just coming off that big win against the fives.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had money on them taking them out in the finals, but
Oh, how
this
much
was
money did
one
you have
bit
on
like,
it?
oh, I can't say. I don't even know if gambling's legal in New York, but yeah.
um, that's been hit or miss. I follow like the some of the gambling stuff, and New York's been like off and on different rules. It's complicated. I should say, Jorja and Tyra did end up beating Paris and Catherine in the
Yeah.
finals at 3-1. So, congrats to them.
Hmm.
And then John Lucian Goins, 2 straight singles medals. I think he's only 17. Roe is just straight cooking. So,
Yeah.
congrats to him. Uh, and he's like the first one that's really broken through this year, I think, like in a bigger way. I guess CJ Klinger with MLP's been doing a little bit. And I think he's won at least one gold throughout the year in PPA, but he was kind of already around last year. This is the first guy that's kind of came out of nowhere this year.
Hmm.
So I guess my thing is like, is it is it that hard to break through? You would think with all the new people coming into pickleball over the last year or so, last 2 years, you would see more fluctuation in different people coming in as people either age out of tennis and university or switch from tennis to pickleball or just become of age that where they can compete. It doesn't feel like we've had that big of an influx of new pros. Do you feel the same, or do you think there's been an influx of new pros?
What do you mean by like influx of new players? Like newer players
Like
coming
just
out or
new players contending for golds or even just making runs in tournaments. I feel like it's
is
just the same known
specifically
people.
singles or like
Oh no,
doubles?
no, all around like
Gotcha.
doubles, mixed doubles, singles. I just feel like it's the same people that we've known like even since last year.
Yeah, I think like doubles has mostly been the same, and I think singles has kind of been the same on the women's side, but I think it's been changing more in the men's side. And I think
That's yeah.
big changes like power paddles. Like back then when like Ben was dominating more, that's everyone was using a Gen 2, but now that people are using Gen 3s, power's increasing. Like it's rewarding more raw athleticism over that cat and mouse game. Just like that's why these younger players like John is coming in doing really well, and I think it's going to start rewarding. Like we're going to start seeing more people in the singles brackets and potentially in the women's brackets for singles too. Once like I think more people start to invest more into singles, but I think that it's also the tough thing is there's not much of a market for it compared to doubles. So I think that may be like what's hindering a lot of people from making that switch over into singles right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, singles doesn't get as much attention. You don't really get as much fame. I think the main thing is if you're winning those singles, it probably does help you get better doubles partners at least. So it's still worthwhile, obviously. But yeah, it's hard to become like super popular from singles. I think unless you
Yeah.
have some kind of flair about you or personality that you're on the court that's making you marketable. Like Zane Ford smashing his paddles. Like maybe he only had a couple runs, but people are like, oh yeah, smashing the paddles, and he's got the funny glasses.
Yeah.
You got to have something else to boost your marketability. Um, but yeah, that's just my thoughts on that real quick. And then this is just kind of random, but I feel like I've been getting more companies internationally reach out recently, just from a lot of Asian countries. No European countries yet. I don't think it's really growing in Europe. I think Asia is the other hot spot for pickleball right now. We've
Mhm.
been getting companies from Vietnam, some Korean companies reaching out. So I'm interested to see how the game develops there and also how those companies can compete in the US market. If they're growing there, obviously the market is bigger in the US for pickleball right now. But will they be able to establish a good foothold in their country and then come over here? Like Sypic right now is probably the most known international brand. I mean, I don't know. We call 6-0 an international brand since they're from Australia, but they kind of started here. I don't know.
I would say, yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
them and like
Okay.
Standout are basically
Okay.
like the two
Well,
Australian
okay.
brands.
So we'll say the first known like Asian brand really, I guess besides Hudef. Shout out Hudef, you know.
Oh yeah.
Ariana, don't. I know you're gonna comment. Okay. Anyway, but yeah. So I'm excited to see what you know those countries will have. I mean, I think that the more competition that you have and the more ideas you have, it will just increase the paddle technology and have something. Someone will come up with something different from somewhere else. They'll think differently, and I think it'll be cool. So
Yep.
that's all I have there. But next, David, I believe you have a question of the week for us.
Oh yeah. So question for this week is, how do you define what control is in a paddle? And do you think it's something that you can really quantify? Um, I guess you want me to keep elaborating, or are you ready to go for this?
I'll go. Sure, why not? So I think originally when I first started making videos, control in my mind was considered just like a paddle that didn't have that much pop. It had a great sweet spot. And that's kind of what I thought about as control. You know, it's just something that doesn't have a lot of pop, has a really good sweet spot. So that leads to you being able to place the ball better. Nowadays, don't really hear anyone ask me about a control paddle. You know, everyone's just talking about power. And then they do ask, oh, how is the control on that power paddle? But it's kind of like that's a second. It's an afterthought. They want the power, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, can I control it?" Nah, you know, whatever. Predictability of when you hit the ball, like which I guess just correlates with the sweet spot size. I don't think there would really be a way to measure control because I think different people would define it different ways. You know, like some people might want a very poppy paddle, and for them, that is controllable because the paddle is always doing the work. So it's easier for them to gauge, okay, if I hold my paddle still, the ball is bouncing like this. I don't have to put any effort into it. And that is very repeatable. I can always put the paddle there and I just won't move it. And boom, we're good to go. Others will be like, oh, well, I popped the ball up too much. If it's poppy, it's not controllable. I want to be able to put the effort in. So I want to be able to move it 2-3 inches. And that's, you know, I know how much effort I put in. That's how much I'm going to get out of it. It's so for me, I think it's just basically comes down to sweet spot size and then how poppy do you want it. And that's going to be different for everyone. So I, for me, control would just come down to the sweet spot size. I don't think there's really any way to measure it though. What about you?
All right. Yeah, the reason I kind of asked this is like we have all of these like metrics that we can use to quantify paddle. So a lot of times when people ask like, oh, what's the power like? People in database have said, we'll just use a radar gun and see how hard a serve is, kind of average that out. So we see that miles per hour. And then same thing with pop, it's more like a punch volley. And then with spin, we have the RPMs from either the Stalker Pro 3 or if you're running the frame rates or counting the frames. But control is that one that like I kind of was a bit curious about. And I did see John Q's video on it, which was cool how he like, did like the paddle performance based on the numbers. But I think the one that I was a bit confused about was like, how was he doing the control? And what I was thinking was like, are you just doing the inverse of pop? Which I guess might make sense. And I think that's what I was kind of thinking about too. Like, is it just how like muted a paddle feels? Like, is it more of like how much it can absorb the impact of the ball? Like, does that lead to control? But then I guess the issue I have with that is like, I guess if we want to quantify that, it does make sense to say control that way. But then if we think about like, does that apply to every single player? And that goes along with what you were just saying, how like it depends on the player because some people like to have that stroke mechanic of moving the paddle more during that reset to be able to control the ball because that's how they are able to control the ball where they want it to go. But someone like me, I don't want to move the paddle too much. I like the paddle doing more of the work for me. So if something is too muted, like, is it considered too much control in that sense? Or because like I'm not able to make the ball go where I want to go. So that kind of goes against the definition. Or is it just more like, should control be how I prefer it to be made? But in terms of like quantifying it, I think it makes sense for now to just be like, okay, it's the inverse of the pop. So now when if someone asks me like, oh, what's the power like? I can be like, oh, I will say like top of this category, but because the pop is lower, the control compared to another popular paddle is better if you like that type of paddle. So I think I'm okay with like that definition. So I think we're a bit in an alignment there where it's like, control does depend on your play style, but in terms of trying to quantify it, at least for now, we can do like the inverse of pop. I think that makes things easier.
I hear you, and then I think another thing people would probably consider as you're talking, I realize like twist weight probably people would think about, but I think companies gamify the twist weight numbers so much
Yeah.
now. I don't think you can rely on that number anymore. Now that companies are aware of it, they put weights down there, they make the number big, but it doesn't really give you an idea of how that sweet spot works. Like towards the top of the paddle and stuff. So I want to even put that
Yeah.
in a
You
I
do need to
wouldn't
look
put that
at
in a
balance point
calculation.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that in. I just can't put that in a calculation. It's too tricky, and unfortunately, I think you have to come down to a subjective feel, which isn't the best. But at the end of the day, that's what we do. Like
Yeah.
that's why we're here to give you those opinions. Um, so what can you do?
Or
But
else we'd be
anyway,
replaced by AI robots. So,
exactly. AI robots cannot do what we do.
yeah.
They can't go hit these paddles. And when they can, well, I guess you can just watch them on, whatever network or YouTube live stream they're playing on. You can watch the
Yeah.
robots play pickleball, and we'll do nothing but watch AI and robots. That won't be that doesn't sound like a fun day to me. I'm gonna kick the robots off the court. I got next.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Any more thoughts on control?
I think I'm good. Curious to see
All right.
what other people think.
Yeah, let us know what you think about how you define control. Okay, so next up, the paddle segment, a little short, but quite a hot topic. A lot of questions, more questions I've ever seen about different paddles lately. So I know there's a lot of interest there, and this is the segment sponsored by Bodie Pickleball, maker of some sweet grips. Been using the dry grips a lot. Starting to switch over to the tacky grips. I prefer the tacky grips when I'm not sweating as much on my hands. I do like the feel, but the dry grips just essential for the summer season. And they make a lot of other things, tungsten tape, accessories, all kinds of good stuff. Go check them out at bodiepickleball.com. Quantas, the Ronbus Quantas, which are coming out for pre-release or pre-orders September 5th, and then September 12th they're going to be officially released. I think it will be at 12 Eastern. That's usually when Rhombus
Yeah.
releases their pre-orders
Yeah.
or
They're
paddles.
East
It's
Coast.
12
Yeah.
Eastern. Yeah. So if I find out different, I'll update it, but that's as far as I know. It's probably going to be 12 Eastern because that's what they like to do. But actually was just doing a lot of hitting this weekend with these Quantas. And this one, I've heard a lot of people asking, and I've heard a lot of people saying, like, oh, like, can you just make these Quantas into a boomstick? Because the construction's very similar, right?
Yeah.
You have that EPP center with the EVA foam ring. This one does have some weighted stuff down here, which is interesting because they're so light swing weight. Mine R1, which is the elongated, came in at sorry, this is backwards. The R1 came in at 108 swing weight. I think I've seen like ranges from like 108 to 112. So, and that's the curve top. And they have these in 5 shapes. They have 2 elongated, 1 square top, 1 arrow curve. And then the wide body, they have like more, this is more of the square, like 16 by 8. And then they have a rounded one. I've played that one in the ripple shape. I didn't really like it. I don't think it makes sense to have a rounded shape for a wide body. I much prefer this square one. And then the hybrid, they have one, the R4. Really like this hybrid. Anyway, they all come in low swing weight. The hybrid came in at 104 for me, and then the R2, the wide body, came in at 102, and the R1 came in at 108. So super, super low swing weights. You have, and they market this as a very customizable paddle. They built this to be a customizable paddle. Do I think they almost went too low on the swing weight? Maybe. I think that you kind of want to make it a little bit better out of the box for people that aren't going to customize it. I understand a lot of us hardcore enthusiasts are going to do it, but I know a ton of people that put no weight on their paddles. Like there's still a lot of people that put no weight on their paddles. Where Selkirk went with the option of putting this weight already on the paddle, which some of us don't like because we can't adjust it, we can't move it around, and these come in like this elongated comes in like 8.3 to 8.4. I think I've even seen some stock 8.5. It's already coming in so heavy that a lot of people aren't going to want to change it. And this is 119 swing weight, probably like 118 to 120 range. So for a lot of people, that's kind of getting at their max. So there's really no customization, which I think is fine. This plays really well stock, right? You like your stock, David?
Yeah, I played mine stock.
Yeah. So it's not like it's a bad thing. Like you can still, like it comes in really good stock. It just doesn't leave you any room to put the weight where you want to put the weight. Also, $333 versus $100.
Yeah.
Now, are they the same paddle with the weight, David? What do you think I'm going to say?
Uh, I haven't done this yet, so I will say no for now, just because like the feel is still slightly different. I think the Quantas are a bit more hollow feeling. I think they not hollow like the beta ripples, but they are a bit like they have the bit of that hollower feedback, just like more toned down compared to the beta ripple that the boomsticks don't have. And I think with weight, it's probably going to fix that a bit, but um, I would say like with weight, I don't think they're going to be the same paddle.
Yeah, so you're right. You're right. They're not the exact. A Pro 4 Perseus still. And the pop is super high. Like this is one, like some type paddles, the pop you have to like put effort into. These are a type of paddle where like the pop's just like instantly there, right? Like the pop. I was when I first started playing with these, I was like, oh, gotta adjust again because it's so poppy, like for the dinks. Now, the boomsticks are also super poppy, right? I think, like you were saying, the Quantas are a little bit more hollow. This kind of sounds hollow too. I would say that it's like a stiffness to softness. Like I think they're both like around that average softness and stiffness. And if I had to say one stiffer than the other, I'd probably say the Quanta is stiffer than the Boomstick, but it's not. It's like super, super slight difference.
Mhm.
I think both of them feel pretty good, like as far as feedback. Like if you like a little bit of connection to the ball, but you don't want it to be too stiff, I think they're both really good in that aspect. They're definitely both of these are not like softer, dwellier paddles for me. It's more like that ball's coming off. It's more of a crisp feel. It's coming off pretty quickly. And they get their spin more from, I guess, the grit and then more the dwell. But I wouldn't say that it's like a 1-for-1. Hey, I got this $100 Quanta. I'm gonna weight it up. It's gonna become a boomstick. I think you get similar performance, but I
Yeah.
think there's still differences, right? And I do really like the hybrid shape a lot. Like if I were to get one, so just to go through my weight setup on this. I hopefully will have a review, but this is the elongated. got 5 inches of 0.5 on there. The wide body, wrapped it all the way around almost. I put two 7-inch strips from the bottom corner and then a 6-inch on top of 0.5 grams. So wrap that thing all the way around. That performed very well, still very maneuverable, hits like a truck. I would say this actually feels closer to like the wide body boomstick, weighting up the whole thing. Since I
Oh,
could weight up the top on the wide body, I think that made a difference. Feels a little softer when you weight it up too, especially all the way around. And then I think this one was 7 inches from the bottom corner going up on the hybrid of 0.5 gram per inch tungsten. All those just made the performance a lot better. I think without weight, I don't know if you played these without weight, but I would not. I would just slap the weight right on. Like, don't even waste
no.
your time playing one
I, d-
without weight.
that's
Because,
what I've been doing.
but honestly, I was surprised the elongated with how lightweight it was, and adding that like not like a crazy amount of weight. I mean, it's still more weight than I usually add to elongated. The stability actually was fine. Like I was resetting no problem against hard shots. I mean, like I was actually impressed that with just that amount of weight, I was able to improve the stability and not have sweet spot or stability issues. So I'm impressed with the weight. I think that if you're okay with adding weight and you just want a fun $100 power paddle that also could be really good for you, I think it's going to be a great option. So interesting stuff from Ronbus there.
Yep.
But I won't say it's a 1-for-1 comparison. I'm not, I don't think the Boomstick is a expensive Quanta, or I don't think the Quanta is a cheap Boomstick. I think they're different paddles, but they are very similar. Uh, what have you got enough time on your Quantas to
No.
weigh in? Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I've only hit them like unweighted, so next experiment, which is basically what I'm gonna do tomorrow, is add weight around them, and then third pad I'm gonna throw in the mix is gonna be the Loco. So I probably try to do like all three of those compared. But
Mm-hmm.
as of like the way I see it, it's kind of like Selkirk is like the one that's kind of it comes ready to go, but you can't really modify it. Then
Yeah.
the Quantas out of the box, you got to modify. You like basically have to modify it. It's like a C45. And then when you get to the Loco, it's kind of like the Goldilocks. It's like, oh, this is the one that's like you could not add weight to it, but you could also add weight to it if you could. But I also haven't
Yeah.
hit the hybrid or standard, but that's the way I'm seeing it right now. But mainly gonna try to hit like the R3, the elongated Loco, and the elongated Boomstick, and that's probably gonna be my plan for this week.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of wish I had the R3 instead of the R1 with these, just because it would have, helped the sweet spot a little bit, and I didn't really need the swing weight improvement, just because that's why I usually go with the R1, but I'm sure the R3 would be an interesting one to try. And I mean, the handle, I think these shapes are really good from Rhombus. Like all the handle lengths give you enough room for tuies. David, I've been working on that tuie. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm forcing myself to do it more and more. So if next time we link up, you're gonna be impressed, even though you're not
All
really
right.
see. So we'll see. But yeah, try those out and see. I think it's an interesting question. I can't wait till more people get the Quanos and see what their opinions are.
Yeah.
If I've been and a lot of people have been hitting me up about these Quanas, the Boomsticks, the Locos. Been getting a lot of interest about this locally, like people wanting to play with them. And it's interesting to see their opinions. I've had different people be like, "Oh, the Quanta's my favorite. The Loco's my favorite. The Boomstick's my favorite." It's been like an even split. So I'm thinking that all these paddles might have a place. And I also wonder if like the Boomstick, just because it's Selkirk and it has that higher price point, are people like, do they automatic? Is there some bias towards that price and branding name? They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I should like that more because it's more expensive, because it has the name power. I don't know. There's never not biased in people's decisions, right? There's always a little bit of bias. My
Yeah, I
decisions,
think
your decisions.
especially for people that like don't really watch these videos, I think they kind of have this opinion, which is like what you typically see in other sporting equipment. It's like the more expensive one usually means more performance, and that's the more established brand versus like the cheaper brands. But in pickleball, it's different. But like for people that don't really understand, like or not like big gearheads, they don't really
Hmm.
see that like actually the performance isn't like better. It's kind of just different, and that's why
Yeah.
there's still people that like pick up the Boomstick. They absolutely love it, and it has infinite grit. So for them, it's like okay, $333. I'd rather get this over the three Quantas.
Hmm.
And if the lifetime, or if the durability is going to be like the same in terms of like the surface is like it lasts 3 times as long, I would rather get the Boomstick because I like the feel of it. I just really connect with it. And I also don't want to modify it. So I'm not saying like the Boomstick is going to be irrelevant, but it's now that we have more options, which is good for the consumers.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfectly said, David. It's interesting too. Like we got a lot of comments last time when we were talking about, would you rather have $300 paddles or one $300 paddle? And I would say well, for sure a majority said $300 paddles, but there was a good number that still said, just give me the best paddle. I'll take it for that price.
Yeah,
When I ask
it's
people in
totally fair.
person, yeah, and I understand that. When I ask people in person, I was getting more of, no, give me $300 paddles. Like $333 is crazy. But, secretly some of them probably have that Yola in their bag, right? Like they already have an expensive paddle in their bag. So it's always interesting what people say, but versus what they do. And then I think there's also the one other factor I know plays in is people like to they like to have, it's not like it's a designer thing, but it's like, hey, if I have the Ronbus, I know people are going to ask me like, oh, would you get that paddle? You get that off Amazon? Like some people just don't know Ronbus, even though they've been around a while. So they're kind of scared to get the lesser known brand. Obviously, our fans they don't care. Like, they're enthusiasts. They're going to get what they want. But I do know some people don't like to be seen playing with something that they don't like, that people might think, oh, they're cheap or they don't know what they're doing. Whereas, like, obviously everyone knows Selkirk. If it's a Selkirk, they know, like, oh, yeah, you bought that paddle. It's expensive, or, that's a mainstream brand. Like, no one's going to ask you, oh, what's a Selkirk? Everyone knows Selkirk. It's probably the most Selkirk or Yola. Both of them have the same name power, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone knows Selkirk and Yola. Whether they know how to pronounce Yola, that's another question. I did not know how to pronounce Yola when I first started getting my Yola. And I still hear people calling it a Jula, which I mean is fair. I mean, come on, what are we supposed to do? You put the J there. How are we supposed to know it's
Yeah.
pronounced as a Y? There's really no way to know. Not a lot of people familiar with that German pronunciation. Anyway, that's really all I have on the Quantas versus the Boomstick. I think if it were my money, I'd just get the Quanta because I had a lot of fun. I'm gonna keep playing them to get more thoughts, but really with the weight, I'm impressed. Probably what they should have released before their Ripple or just scrapped it, but I understand they went
Yeah.
down. I think this brings the aspect of the Ripple everyone loved, getting the low swing weight with the power, with the pop. Uh, yeah. Any other thoughts on that dynamic, David?
Nope. Is that all we have for paddle talk?
That's all I have for paddle talk. Unless you have any other things you want to throw in there.
Oh, well, I was saving this hat because I think I've got this paddle that you don't have. I've got the secret
Hello, the paddle
co-host
inspector
paddle.
is here.
Yeah, I've got the Gen 3 Untitled from Gherkin. I've
Okay.
not hit this yet. I actually just arrived as I was leaving for the US Open. I was actually not supposed to get this paddle. It's mainly for co-hosts and people that are not reviewers. But because I like the Nightshade so much, I harassed them a lot and they felt bad. And I made them feel bad. I was like, but I want one too. I'm also a co-host. So they sent me
Yeah.
one. Gonna hit this tomorrow, so super excited for this one.
It does. I like the design. They got away from they put a little less gherkins on there than their
Yeah.
nightshade. So that's good. Um yeah, you're the only co-host reviewer, I believe, right? I think that is a
Yeah, I think
unique
that's why. That's why I
unique
was
you're the
complaining a
only
lot.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the unique combo that they just didn't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
So, hey, props to David. He deserves that. What's it called again?
The Untitled.
Oh, okay. So are they gonna name it something, or is that actually gonna be the name?
I actually have no idea anything about this paddle. I just saw that people had it and I wanted it. So I was just like I was like, hey, I'm also a co-host. I'm kind of crying right now, and then they're finally like, "All right, we'll give you one. We'll overnight ship it to you." And made
I
my
wonder.
day.
I wonder what state Gherkin. Do you know what state Gherkin's based out of?
I have no idea actually.
All right, fair enough. Gherkin hasn't had the Nightshade's been a while, right?
Yeah,
Couple
since
5, 6 months.
the Nightshade, yeah,
All right. Well, I'm glad you got the Untitled. I think you were entitled to have that. So,
for sure.
and anything else? I think that's all I have. I hope everyone had a good Labor Day weekend, enjoyed it, rested up, had fun. Back to the work, right? Back to work, back to the grind, but always keep having fun.
Yeah.
And anything else you want to plug? Anything coming up?
Uh, Actually, I guess the giveaway ends tomorrow, but last giveaway is ending when this video comes out, so that will be the Vata giveaway, and my summer giveaway is over as now that school has started again. So,
All right. You heard it. Fun time is over from David. No more
mhm.
fun. All right. Everyone have a great week. Thank you for supporting us through 50 episodes. I hope we have another 50. See ya.